Hey, welcome to Code Reviews. Let's set you up for success with AWS. When you create an AWS account and you log in for the first time, AWS will give you a default VPC, a default virtual private cloud. And what I'm going to tell you is do not use the default virtual private cloud that they give you. Do yourself a favor, and the very first thing you should do is name this default VPC do not use. And we'll talk about why you shouldn't use it. Now, the thing is, you can use it. It will work. It's a default. It comes with default subnets. You have two subnets here in US West 1B, US West 1C. It comes with a route table, this main route table. And if you look at the routes, it comes with an internet gateway. So all of these subnets are public. They can access the public internet. It goes out through IPv4 to the public internet. It can talk to IP4 addresses. So why should you not use this if Amazon gives it to you and it works? Well, it's not future-proof. They do not give you an IPv6 CIDR block. So there is no IPv6 support. I don't pretend to know the ins and outs about IPv6. I can't explain it to you, but there are a lot of people on YouTube who can. But I do know that we are running out of IPv4 addresses, and we will never run out of IPv6. And there is a slow move towards using IPv6. So if you are using a VPC that doesn't support it, at some point in the future, you are going to have to migrate. And if you're going to have to do it at some point in the future, do it now. So how do you do it? What should you do once you've decided, hey, I'm never going to use this VPC. I'm never going to use these subnets. I have set something up in Mumbai just to demonstrate. But if you go to VPCs in Mumbai, I've created a few for you. I have a IPv6 only demo VPC. And here you can see there is, in fact, an IPv6 CIDR block that I've chosen. I have a dual stack demo VPC. So here, a dual stack means it's going to support IPv4 and IPv6. You can see that it's here. And then once again, we have the default, which I've renamed. And you can see it doesn't support IPv6. What I would recommend is use a dual stack demo VPC. And we'll kind of talk about that right now. So you could create, in theory, an IPv6 only VPC. And we'll click that VPC ID. And we'll look at, so you have these three subnets. And they have their own route table. And they're public subnets. So it makes this VPC IPv6 only. So you have an IPv6 only subnet. I've created three of them. What you'll see is that they have zero available IPv4 addresses. So when we created these subnets, when you create a subnet and you pick a VPC like IPv6 only, I can make this IPv6 only by saying no IPv4 CIDRs. So it will not at all support IPv4. And instead, I'll move forward with the IPv6. And then you create it. And you could do this, and this works, but it only works in very limited circumstances. So I tried to use IPv6 to avoid the AWS charge completely on public IPv4 addresses, but it didn't work because I needed an RDS. And when you create an RDS, dual stack mode requires IPv4 support. I wanted my EC2s to talk to the public internet, but to talk to websites that only have IPv4 addresses, you too have to have a public IPv4 address. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And a lot of websites out there only have IPv4. They don't have both. So what you should do is create a dual stack VPC that has dual stack subnets. And these subnets have CIDR blocks for IPv4 support as well as IPv6 support. So you can see that some of these only have IPv6. They have no IPv4. You have ones that have IPv4 and IPv6. These are dual stack. And then you have the defaults, which have IPv4, no IPv6, which are IPv4 only. So do yourself a favor, create a new VPC, call it whatever. When it comes to CIDRs, I used kind of just defaults. This isn't really explaining that. There's actually a good video, build an IPv6 only network. This guy, what's his name? Trevor Sullivan. This is like an excellent intro. It's a couple years old, but it's really good. And he talks about in detail VPCs and IPv4 stuff. My point to you is mark the default as do not use and just start using create a dual stack VPC by creating dual stack subnets. Dual stack means you support IPv4 and IPv6, and create a dual stack route table, which just has an IPv6 internet gateway attached to it, an IPv4 internet gateway attached to it, associate it with the dual stack subnets that you have. And yeah, you can create your own internet gateway, a dual stack internet gateway for the public communication. But once you have a VPC, subnets, a route table, an internet gateway set up, use that VPC in your RDS, use it in your EC2, your ALB, use that one instead. Do not use the default. Hope you found this helpful. Follow for more.